Okay, good morning, sweet peas. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Today's date is July 7th, 2017. Now, stay with this video. It's going to be a pretty good one. And, all right, what did I state in the title of this Periscope video? What I stated in the title of this Periscope video was bushcraft shelters and survival. Now, a lot of individuals in no matter what country you're in, but I'm going to refer to America in this video. No matter what country you're in, it's essential that human beings learn primitive skills in order to be able to survive, because of the many different situations that they can, and circumstances that they can find themselves in as a result of natural disasters, wars. Okay, any type of event that would cause displacement of you and or your family and friends. Okay, so most people don't think about this. A lot of people don't think about this in reference to learning primitive skills when they're adults, because they're so caught up in the busyness of their daily affairs, going to work, school, family, okay, and so on. Now, so what I decided to do was make this video to try to bring this subject matter out into the open, so hopefully if you stumble across this video, you'll watch it. And so what is bushcraft shelters and survival? Right now on YouTube and even Google, there are hundreds of thousands, excuse me, there are hundreds of thousands of websites and YouTube videos dedicated to this subject matter. And the thousands of videos you'll see online are about anything and everything that you need to know in order to be able to be self-sustainable in case of an event, an emergency event. You know, no matter what brings it about, an earthquake, a flood, a flood, any type of natural disaster or man-made disaster, including things that would take us off the grid, like an EMP attack or a solar flare that would cause our electronics to go down. Society could collapse within a week. Now, you might think to yourself, well, this sounds bizarre or whatever. Well, fellow American citizens, right now, including how the economy can implode, I think it's prudent, especially if we have kids, especially young kids. I think it's prudent. There's no harm in researching these topics and learning from them. So just in case, because anything can happen, anything, especially if you're living in rural areas where you're subject to floods. Look at what happened with Katrina. Okay, so it's always good to have a backup plan, and then a backup plan concerning where you would go in case of any type of event that brought about your displacement, that could bring about your displacement from your home. And there are so many different variables and so many different scenarios that could cause this. Once you start researching bushcraft camping and survival and bushcraft shelters now in survival, I think that you'll come across you'll come across thousands of videos, but you'll also come across hundreds within these thousands of individuals talking about the different variables that can bring about your displacement. So I'm not going to go into a long detailed explanation about what can cause displacement. What I'm going to do is just basically introduce to you some of the things that you can do, and give you some terms so you can type them in at Google and YouTube, so you can then bring up the information that will illustrate to you and show you. There's so many videos online that can show you how to make A-frame tents, A-frame shelters, dugout shelters. Even I've seen videos online of people who just have a sincere heart concerning helping other people understand what they can do if you're displaced. Where I've seen this one guy who was literally making a bed between two trees, not having a hammock or anything. Now, when you hear this, you might think, God, that sounds pretty crazy. But actually, it's not, because you can, again, like I stated, you can be displaced for so many different reasons, and the environments and the landscapes that you can find yourself in are not always, at least initially, by your choosing. Okay. So I strongly suggest that you, the reason why I decided to type in bushcraft shelters, hold on. Okay. It's also called bushcraft camping, bushcraft shelters. You can also research bushcraft camping, and Google it as well, because there's a whole lot of information through Google as well. Websites dedicated to what type of camping gear that you can get, including the camping gear that you can, even camping gear that you can make at home with things that you don't even utilize anymore, things that are in your garage. Shoestring budget camping and survival. There's just, you don't have to think, you don't have to say to yourself, well, I got to go to a camping store now and buy $200, $300, $400 worth of camping gear in order to survive. Let me tell you, I've been hiking and camping for so long, okay, on and off, that I have learned about what to do and what not to do. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to give you some examples about some of the things concerning some of the videos that I've seen online, pertaining to how homeless people, you can learn a lot from homeless people. I would not suggest that you go out and start talking to people you don't know, but you can also research on YouTube and Google how homeless people survive as well. If you're a child, I strongly suggest that you use parental guidance in your research. In other words, do it with your parents. And I am not, and I will basically just flat out state, if you're a child below the age of 18, never go online and attempt to speak to anyone personally about any type of situation that you might be about to face in reference to like homelessness or anything like that. Use your parental guidance concerning these matters, meaning that talk to your parents before you do anything online, especially when it comes to any type of bushcraft survival or camping, because your parents know what's best for you. All right, so check it out. I've seen some information online concerning campers, bushcraft survivalists, and homeless people sharing their information pertaining to how they survive and what they do to keep themselves and their property safe. There's let me interject this as well. There's also videos online that can help you teach you how to set traps for squirrels and bunnies and stuff like that, and birds even. And so I strongly suggest that you research those as well. Now, one of the things that I've seen from some of the research pertaining to these subject matters online are some of the methods that you can use in order to keep your property safe. So let's begin there. Some of the things that you can do to keep your property safe is to always try to remember that there are, even if you're in a state that, like California, we don't have snow here, but we do have rain periodically. So, and there are a lot of areas that will flood out as a result of the of the landscapes. Okay, there's a lot of hills in California, meaning that when it rains, a lot of the rain from the streets will go down into the ravines, and then they eventually get flooded out, and they can flood out a whole wooded area. So I strongly suggest that if you're in a survival situation, a homeless situation, or a camping situation, that you always try your best to keep your backup property, any backup gear, your clothes, shoes, in plastic bags, okay, and to put them on high ground, okay, because water always goes downhill. Now, and when I say high ground, I mean really high ground. Get familiar with, if you can, try to get familiar with the property that you're hiding things on when it rains, so you can see if it does flood out, how much the water level goes up. So let me just periodically throughout this video, I'm going to check to make sure I'm still live broadcasting. Oh, you also run across, when you research what I've already stated, you also run across videos that will teach you how to not only create snares for animals, but to also how to create fire from no matches, no lighters, or anything like that. Just basically using crossbows and excuse me, the primitive ways of creating fire. You can literally create a fire from a plastic pop bottle, okay, literally, or a plastic bag with water in it, okay. So, there's a whole bunch of do-it-yourself projects, DIY projects also, that are very helpful in your survival and your relocation protocols that you can create, okay, rehearse, and execute in order to be able to secure your survival, even if it's just for a 3-day period. Now, I suggest personally that once you start doing this, never go out and start spending a whole bunch of money into camping out at Walmart or any place else. The best thing that if I was just becoming introduced to this subject and I started researching it and I started becoming really attracted to it, well, the best thing that I would do is go to a dollar store. Now, dollar stores are some of the best things that you can do concerning buying, like, say, protective measures to keep the elements out of your clothes, because also know this as well, animals, okay, animals usually hunt by smell, okay, they will notice things, of course, through sight, but they will also hunt things through smell. So if you're, like, say if you decide to create a little bag of 1 days of clothes, underwear, undershirt, pants, shirt, socks, whatever, and you put it in a plastic bag and you tie it up, and animals smell it, they're usually going to walk away from it because they're not smelling food. Some animals, like rodents, might try to chew into the bag to see if there is anything in it. At the most, you'll probably just get a little tear in your clothes. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because when you are trying to preserve any type of food out in the wilderness, it's always best to bury it. Okay, it's always best to bury it, and to bury it deep, and to make sure that you have as much dirt on top of it before you put any foliage on top of it, because the dirt helps to hide the scent of anything. I strongly suggest also that you wrap and rewrap and rewrap and rewrap and rewrap, okay, this food before putting it in a heavy-duty garbage bag. As many bags that you can wrap that food up in, and I'm talking about non-perishables, of course, the better. And if you're going to hide any canned food in the woods, the best thing to do as well is to take the labels off and maybe take a magic marker and write on the top of the can what it is, because animals will try to get into plastic bottles. They'll eat through them, thinking that there might be something in them. If you're storing water in plastic bottles, they will try to eat through it. But they will also tear apart the wrapper that is on any type of can or plastic bottle, and then the wrapper starts laying around in the woods, and then the wrapper becomes part of the landscape, and that can invite other people to notice what might be in the area if they stumble across that particular spot. So you want to leave no traces as much and as often as possible. Okay. And you want to make sure that when you go back to retrieve your food, that you want to increase your chances to make sure that it's not molested or discovered, molested by animals of any kind, or discovered by human beings. Okay, so especially if you're hiding stuff on property that is not yours, you want to make sure that you respect the environment in reference to the person's property that you're hiding stuff on, and for environmental reasons as well. Hold on. Okay, so I accidentally got cut off of that for a second because I readjusted my battery. So, I strongly suggest, and so to give you some tidbits, remember what I stated. One of the biggest mistakes that people will make is that when they start researching bushcraft survival, and they start becoming really attracted to it, because it is very, very, very easy to get engulfed mentally, okay, and psychologically, in becoming I don't like the words, even though the word survivalist is apropos, I don't like the word survivalist, because I have my reasons. So I would just, I like preparedness. There's nothing wrong with being prepared. Even the government, okay, has websites. Sorry, I got something in my eye. Even the government has websites concerning being prepared for emergencies. Okay, so I prefer the word prepper. I don't even really like that word a lot, but there's nothing wrong with it. And by the way, you can find these types of this type of information by also Googling and YouTubing preppers. Okay. Oh my God, there's like thousands and thousands and thousands of websites and blogs and YouTube videos of individuals who are sharing their experiences and what they do in order to be able to help their fellow man. Okay, so here's some tidbits of information to help you see that it doesn't take a lot of money. You can create an excellent survival kit and learn what you need to do on a shoestring budget. Rice, beans, pasta, canned foods that have at least 2 to 3 years before they expire. Learning how to keep track of by writing down. Like say if you were to buy 10 cans of food, okay, and they all got an expiration date 1.5 years, 1.5 years, you write that down. You keep a log concerning what you will, when it will expire and when you have to eat it before it does, and how you got to rotate it out from in order to replace it with newer food that's got another 1.5 years. Okay, so you need to learn how to keep logs concerning what you buy, where you hide it at, what's the best time to go back on the property to retrieve it, what excuses you may have that you can use in order to make it appear that you have a normal appearing reason to go on the property, being smart concerning entering it, surveilling the area before you enter to do anything, okay, and leaving the property. There's nothing wrong with being nice, but to always be cautious when it comes to any type of stranger that approaches you of any age, any type of person, no matter how they look physically, including women. Okay, so especially if you're in a survival situation. All right, hold on. So let me give you some ideas here concerning some of the things that you can do, that you can do that literally cost you nothing. Like let's just say, for instance, now I'm going to light a cigarette, and if you're a child, do not ever start smoking, ever. And if you're a smoker, stop. I'm going to stop pretty soon, actually, to be totally honest with you. All right, hold on. I really am. Sorry about the burping. I got indigestion this morning. Okay, so check it out. What I'm going to first do in this video is I'm going to explain to you some things that you can do that you can literally get for free. I don't suggest that you utilize, like let's just say that I'm in here in California, so I go to, lately I've been going to Busch to do my grocery shopping. So when I go into Busch, what I'll do is I'll go into the produce department and I'll get some produce bags. I apologize for the background noise. Okay, so I'll get some produce bags, the things that you utilize to put your apples and oranges in, and then I'll take a bunch of produce ties. So I'll take about 10 or 15 bags each time I'm there. Well, I actually don't have to anymore because I'm pretty stocked up, at least for now. So the best thing to do is take like 10 or 12 bags each time you go there. Try to be friendly with the produce people. Try not to wear yourself out with them, and get produce ties. Okay? Now these are excellent things that you can utilize if you're, I don't know what's going on with all this noise. It was not noisy at all before I started making this video. So I apologize for that. Now, produce bags and produce ties are things that you can utilize for free. You can also approach deli contestants, the deli manager and/or employees, the seafood manager and/or employees, and the meat department manager and/or employees, and ask for lobster bags or any type of heavy-duty bags that might be able to assist you in bagging up and rebagging up, reinforcing the original initial bag that you put your rice in or your pasta in. Now, I also noticed that you can usually get free bags by approaching the bakery sections of specific stores, where people will grab a more heavy-dutier bag in order to put their bread in, because a produce bag usually is not that great for bread. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because these are items that you can take in order to be able to try to save as much money as you can for the actual food. Produce ties are real good in reference to tying up your bags. And I also suggest that if you're putting any type of food of any kind, okay, like noodles, beans, rice, packets of gravy, I suggest that what you should do is take a bottle of water, dig a little hole that's not even an inch big, and pour in some water in it to create some mud. Hang on a minute. This is almost kind of pissing me off because it was so quiet before I started making this video. Okay. And the reason why you want to put mud on your hands is because you want to get the scent of yourself off of your hands. Because animals will hunt by scent. Okay, they smell you. Okay, you put a bag of food and hide it in the woods. Okay, and they can smell your scent, and then they'll investigate the area a little bit more. So I strongly suggest that you as well take that into consideration as well. So all you have to do is create some mud, put it on your hands. Okay, and here's another thing you can do. A lot of delicatessens and meat department personnel will use those little hand things on their hand gloves. You can always try and be as friendly and as sincerely friendly and courteous to meat department personnel and deli department personnel to see if you can, doesn't mean you need to do it every time you're in there, but to see if you can get some of those latex or plastic gloves, okay, to assist you so you're not constantly having to wash your hands. Now, so the reason why I'm stating all this stuff is because to introduce you to the concepts, okay, to introduce you to the concepts that are out there pertaining to bushcraft survival and prepping, because you never can tell nowadays. I mean, the economy can implode. Wars can happen just like that, you know. And let me just interject something here real fast. Even though we haven't been invaded since World War II, and we weren't invaded by ground, we were invaded by air in World War II, Pearl Harbor, it doesn't mean that the United States at any time could be invaded by a foreign force. Absolutely. That's something that every father and mother should always pay attention to concerning world affairs, because this world is becoming more dangerous. So it's a good idea. You know, I think to myself that it's always a good idea to have at least 2 to 3 backup areas where you have something hidden, like a tent, blanket, some water for 3 days. I would suggest that you start researching how to become a bushcraft prepper, survivalist, by learning how to create kits that will last you for 3 days. 3 days of water, like say 2 pairs of socks, 1 pair of shoes, a couple pairs of underwear, some batteries, a flashlight that works, and you'll realize what you need. Okay, you would definitely realize what you need, and try and create 2 or 3 spots where you have enough to survive for 3 days at each one of these spots. Like, did you know, like, for instance, that you can get on any public transportation bus, and you can usually get, or you can go down to a public transportation hub, like their main offices, and get maps. So you don't have to go into a CVS and spend $12 on a map. You can also get maps from libraries. Excuse me, please. Okay, and a lot of these maps will have, if you can get orientated in your mind pertaining to where you're at in relation to what's on the map, you can then figure out what's north, east, west, and south. You can also research how you can use nature as a compass instead of spending money on a compass. Now, I'm not saying that compasses are not essential. They actually are. Binoculars, Swiss Army knives, whistles are another thing for you to actually, especially for children. Children always want to be able to know that a whistle can help them recontact their parents if they're separated from them in the woods. I would suggest also that you teach a child how to mimic a bird's whistle, a bird sound, and have that child learn how to whistle it as a signal to their parents. Because if we're ever in a situation where you got a lot of criminals running around, or possibly some type of situation to where you want to make sure no one can hear you for whatever reason, for no matter what scenario. If your child knows how to whistle like a bird that is already part of the geographical landscapes, then that whistling like a bird can be a signal, so the parent can get an idea of where the child's at, and so on. And there's a bunch of different ways that you can use whistling as a signal for what to do. Two whistles for stay there, three whistles for come here, and so on and so forth. You know, we as human beings, it's essential that we as human beings need to get back to a lot of our basic skills that our forefathers engaged in, including even if you have the resources and the availability to learn how to smoke meat and use salt to preserve it. Okay, so also water purification, creating, and I'm not talking about necessarily going and buying these water filters, because you can YouTube and Google how to make your own water filters. Okay, and you can also research about how to kill bacteria out of water by boiling it, and by putting a specific, I forgot what type of pills they are. I don't even want to guess, because if I say the wrong thing, I don't want to be responsible for saying the wrong thing. So you can also research water purification and bushcraft survival. So you can also research how easy it is to safely create campfires, cooking fires. Okay, you always want to try and make sure that you have your foliage anywhere that is around the fire that can catch fire from any ashes that blow away. You always want to make sure that fire safety becomes first, and that all your fire safety protocols are implemented before you light that match or whatever means you use to light the fire. Now, I'm going to state a couple other statements here so you can get an idea concerning what type of terms to look at. Let's see. A-frame shelters, lean-to shelters, spider holes are another good thing for, especially if you're a parent that has small children. For whatever reason, straws are another thing that are a good thing to keep in Vaseline, cotton balls. Okay, so you can research that concerning creating fires. Okay, and for backup fire starter kits. But spider holes, what are spider holes? Spider holes are little holes that parents can extensively research, that are basically holes that are usually big enough for an adult and or a child to crawl into, and what you can utilize to cover it up once you're in it, in order to be able to keep yourself safe from anything, from criminals, strangers, and even law enforcement. Because if shit really ever hits the fan, because like I said, there's 100 different scenarios that can happen that can turn our local police into not being very friendly. So, so if you're trying to evade capture from anybody, okay, that you deem is from anybody, because at the end of the day, in my opinion, okay, at the end of the day, your freedom and your safety is what's most important. Okay. Let me just put it to you this way, okay, and I don't know how this might sound, but if the Jewish people would have been able to see what was coming, they could have like, what a great movie to watch is the Defiance, okay? That was about a bunch of Jewish citizens in Europe that fled to the woods in order to escape the Nazis from being, in order to escape being captured. And what a lot of people don't understand is that when the Nuremberg trials happened, a lot of law enforcement was prosecuted. It wasn't just the Nazis. It wasn't just the judges and the lawyers that assisted the Nazis in perpetrating all of their despotic laws. But it was also law enforcement that got prosecuted as well. Hold on. And I don't want you to think that I have anything personally against police. But there are many, many, many different types of things that can happen nowadays that causes the government to behave in irrational ways, to behave even if they're doing things that are apropos pertaining to the specific situation. Okay, me personally, I would try my best to stay away from law enforcement if shit ever hits the fan and they declare martial law or anything like that. It's just a statement based on a couple things that I saw on the internet. Because when it comes to your survival, you don't want to depend on the government. What you want to depend on is yourself You want to depend on people that you absolutely know you can trust, okay? And your parents, okay, if you have them, if you have parents that are still alive. So, okay, so spider holes are things that you can create in order to duck into, okay, in case you need to evade anything that might be considered as an immediate threat or a possible near future threat. It's something that a child can duck into, cover up the hole, stay inside. I strongly suggest if you create those to at least put a gallon of water in it and some snacks. You can not only create a spider hole, but you can also create a hole within the hole in order to hide food. Okay, so fellow American citizens, I made this video today in order to be able to introduce you to the idea of bushcraft shelters. I also suggest that you research the best camouflage type of clothes to wear. And the only reason why I use the word camouflage is because that's actually the word, okay, that would best lead you to the information that you can type in, that would best lead you to the information pertaining to the type of clothes that you can wear. Because you want to try and blend in with the landscape as much as possible. Like, look at the pants I'm wearing right now. Now, you look at those pants and then look at the dirt. Look at the shoes. You understand? Okay. Look at the shirt, it's black. So those shirt blends in with the shadows that the trees are creating, but the pants also blend in with the dirt, okay, in the ground. And the reason why I state this is because no matter what situation you're in, you always want to avoid strangers and any other individual that you have already deemed may be a possible threat or is a threat. You want to try and have your body and your clothes blend in with the environment. Because your peripheral vision, if you're walking through the woods and you see a blue tarp laying on the ground or leaned up against a tree, either with your direct vision or your peripheral vision, you will notice that blue tarp because that tarp sticks out from the landscape, the natural colors of the landscape. So you don't want to bring attention to yourself. So what you want to do is you want to get your backpack and your duffel bag and even a bike. Bikes are excellent things to have. And you want to get a bike that blends in gray, black, brown, okay? Or if you have to buy a bike from a thrift store, you can always just buy a can of paint and paint it green, black, or brown, okay? In order to, because money at the end of the day, okay, money at the end of the day is what you're going to need. And by the way, if you get a bike, I strongly suggest that you get a wrench, all the wrenches that you need for the an Allen wrench and a wrench that would change the tires, okay, and back up inner tubes, and maybe even definitely a tire pump and some of that tire foam as well. All right, so the goal in this, oh, by the way, when you go into stores, you can also, like a coffee shop, you can always take an extra few napkins, okay? Get some cheap Ziploc bags from the dollar store, and always remember, what would you need? Spend 3 days in the woods. Just spend 3 days in the woods and think to yourself, what would best suit you, okay? Hold on. What would best suit you so you can survive without also having to carry much? Like, here's an additional idea. You can when you go into the store and you see these little cans, or like a little can of anchovies, or a little can of anchovies, or one of those flat cans of tuna, or even a smaller can that dog food comes in, usually very cheap. You buy it. If it's dog food, whatever, you obviously don't want to eat it, so you either give it to a dog or you throw it out for the raccoons away from your camping area, okay? Because you don't want to invite a bunch of animals to start congregating around where you might sleep at or where you might store food at, okay? But the reason why I brought up these small cans is because you can use these cans as a pot, okay, in order to boil water for a ramen noodle. You can even use aluminum foil and quadruple it, make 5, 6, 7 layers. You can stretch out some aluminum foil and put 7 layers on it and create a bowl and use that over a real light flame or over some timber, okay, in order to boil some water for a ramen noodle. When you're done, you can flatten the bowl back out, okay, and then that is a lighter thing to carry, and the anchovy can, okay, is a smaller can to carry instead of carrying around a big gigantic pot with you. Okay, so these are just some ideas, okay, that can help you see. Aluminum foil is a great thing to have as a backup, okay, because it has so many different uses to it. Bags, aluminum foils, produce ties. These are all great things that you can get. They're cost effective, and so again, research this at Google and YouTube. You're gonna run across thousands and thousands of websites and YouTube videos that will help you. And I strongly suggest that you do not ever, when you're starting doing this, or even as you're continuing to do this, do not get sucked into buying all this expensive camping gear, because it's not what you're going to need to survive. Get yourself a cheap tent. I suggest that you buy yourself a couple cheap tents. The reason why I say two is because tent poles do have a tendency to break. And you can even, hold on a minute, let me show you something. You can even, if you're in the woods, and you see these types of, any type of bending branch can be broken in half to the length that you need, okay, and then you can take a knife and you can make it smaller, okay. Say if you got a tent pole, okay, that's 2.5 feet long. So what you want to do is you want to look at the type of branch. Like, look at this branch here, how easy it is, it bends, but it's got to be sturdy enough to where it don't break. So what you want to do is you want to find one or two that has that durability, and then you can just take a knife and make it thinner. Now you can also, if you have two pieces, if you have to use two pieces, you can duct tape it together, okay, in order to be able to create one pole. Because at the end of the day, money is going to be the thing that's going to help you survive the most, because it's going to help feed yourself. It's going to help you buy more food to hide that, and it's going to give you a sense of security and for bartering as well. So my name is Leslie Williams. I made this video in order to introduce to you some ideas, and I'm saying these ideas from experience and reference. Well, most of them are from experience. Okay. In order to be able to introduce you to this idea, to give you some of my ideas concerning my experiences, and to make sure that you take this to your mind. Do not spend a lot of money on hiking gear. I suggest you spend 3 to 4 days in the woods, see what you need and don't need, see what the best thing that you can utilize that weighs the less. You know, the lightest things that you can carry, the better off, because clothes and backup clothes are going to be the most heaviest things, and food are going to be the heaviest things that you can carry with you, even though some of these things can be creatively tied to your bike, if you can afford a bike. Okay, all right, so my name is Leslie Williams. I live in La Jolla. I made this video to introduce you to these concepts, so you can research this by going to Google and typing in. And remember, there's a lot of homeless people online. They have a lot of information concerning what they're doing to survive, but I do not suggest at all for anybody, especially children, to try to converse with them about anything, because you never know nowadays what type of people might be out there. Okay, fellow American citizens, I hope you like this video. I hope that you research this subject matter so you can make informed decisions about what to do if you're interested in any type of bushcraft survival, and creating 2 to 3 separate backup areas that you might have to run to depend on for any reason. So thank you for listening, and have a great day.